What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, February 2nd, first Thursday of February, and this Blinkers Off. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Thanks everybody for tuning in again. And what's up, Jared? It's good to be back, man. It's man. I feel like we've had a busy week already. It's just Thursday, all kinds of shows and stuff. So good to get back. Good to get back another week. Only 2 prep races, not 3, with the Withers being canceled. But still, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, Withers being pushed back a week to next weekend with the weather. But yeah, you still have the old Baffert Stakes out there at Santa Anita, which we'll talk about, and then the Holy Bull, which is kind of a mishmash. It's a good betting race, but you're still kind of wondering what's in that race. We'll get to that. But before we kind of go forward, I think we got to, I haven't. I know you have a little bit on the other shows. You did the live show as well on Saturday. You got to put to bed a little bit this I don't even know how you describe it. Humiliating, unbelievable disaster of a Pegasus. I mean, I don't know how you handicap that card. And we knew going in it was an impossible card, and it was like even when the races you thought you liked, it was still impossible.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the worst day of my handicapping career, and I've been doing this for like 15. Oh well, with 15 for like I'd say 15. Let's just call it that. And it's the worst I've ever done. And some of the races, it was after it was over. You're just like, I don't know how I could have got to that one. And then some of them, it's like, well, I was between a couple, and I had to choose one, and I always chose wrong every time. Red Knight, I got that one right, but it was crazy. Anytime I had to make a decision, I couldn't make the right one. And then some of these races, I'm like, I don't know how you get there to some of those horses. I told you after, it's like, couldn't do anything right at Gulfstream and couldn't do anything wrong at Oaklawn, and they were going off like within 2 minutes of each other. So I would watch Gulfstream, and it'd be like, yeah, another just terrible job by me. And then I'd watch Oaklawn, and I was like, wow, that was great. It was so weird, but I don't know how you explain some of the results, and the others, it's like, I saw it, but I didn't make the right decision on it.
It was so annoying that there was the races that we kind of we knew they were tough, but we tried to play tries and exactas and whatnot. Like we would have one, or like the one we needed to like run well would run well, and then underneath would just be a disaster. Or we disagree on Queen Goddess, and she rolls. So we think, all right, we got that. That was the best scenario, in that race pretty much. Mm-hmm. And all we got to do is get City Man home. And I'm like 96% confident in one of our 3 horses is going to win the Pegasus. And City Man's last. And never. And then to boot, like the horse that I've loved for 2 years, and I picked to win that race last year, this race, a Tone. I picked this horse. Go back and we'll look. He wins, and he wins it from off the pace, and it was just like, what is happening right now? That's a horse we could have got to if we would have gone deeper in that leg, but we never would have got to Art Collector. So it's just like, it's just one of those days that's just so frustrating.
Yeah, there were a few people on our live stream that made a good case for Art Collector, and I told them at the time, go for it. He's the right price, and yeah, I mean he's not a bad horse, and he could jump up and win this thing. It's pretty wide open, but at the same time, I would have had to have been at least 5 deep probably to get to him. And again, that's me admitting it's just a horrible job at handicapping. But it was just a day. It was so weird. Like City Man never doesn't fire. Like he always at least makes a run at it. He never picked up his feet the whole race. And then you fast forward to the Pegasus, and your horse Skippy Longstocking's turning for home. And I'm like, well, he's at least going to make a run at it. Like I don't know if he's going to win, but he's making a move. Cyberknife never looked great, but on the turn, it's like, well, he's going to maybe run up and hit the board or something. They just stopped. There went Art Collector off. Defunded was a horse we kind of liked. He ran okay at least, but I've never had so many horses that I picked. It's like they didn't even like run a step, and that's when it gets just like I don't know, that just it's not even frustrating. It's just you shake your head like I was just horrific on this card.
I yeah, I mean, Cyberknife was a whole other disaster, but like, yeah, Skippy, I thought he was well. It's hard to say. Thought he's a winner, but I thought he was very much in position to win the race in the turn.
He was.
Because I don't remember what it was. I was the birthday party was kind of wrapping up. I had it, but I was like, I went upstairs, turned it on. A bunch of us watched. And of course, you're like, who do you like? Well, I like this one. It's like, oh, that sucked. And you like this one? I like that. That horse. But Skippy was like 9-1 or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great price. And he said, I thought he was in good position. You thought that because he was in great position. He's got the perfect trip.
Geez. Yeah, I don't, how do you, and I know most people understand at this point, but like, how do you yourself, like, how did you kind of, you do this every single day? I mean, you had to wake up and handicap races Sunday and handicap races Monday and handicap races, you know what I mean? And how do the people that played that card or maybe played our picks or played their own picks and they just got smoked like we did?
Yeah.
How do you kind of explain that day to yourself? How do you kind of put that one to bed and move on?
It's the worst saying and people don't really want to hear it, but it happens. That's kind of the best way you could put it. You just move on. You don't even think about it. And it's one thing if like you're running second and third a lot and horses are firing and they're just not winning. To me, that gets me a little bit more upset. There are days, and honestly, a day like the Pegasus, it's few and far between for me, at least, where it's gross, and that was just a gross day. And the worst thing you could do is sit for hours after it's over and reanalyze everything and change what you do. And it's just one of those days where shit happened that you just couldn't explain, and like Mary Quite Contrary beating Obligatory. That's one that pissed me off because I had that horse on top a lot and I ended up changing it and it cost us, right? So that would make you mad. But like Art Collector, and again, this isn't a knock on if you handicap the race, you got to Art Collector. Great job. I mean, this is not a knock. For me, I could never have gotten there, So it's just I just turned the page on that. And look who got. I mean, look. Last Samurai finished ahead of the horses that we picked. Last Samurai.
I know. I mean,
so there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing. There's just nothing I could take from it and look back from it and say, well, I should have done this or that. I mean, I couldn't have got there. I just couldn't have. And I'm sorry, a tone at 7-2. I mean, I wouldn't have bet a tone at 7-2. And I thought he had a shot, but he wasn't a very good price. The way he won it was a little bit crazy. I guess the most predictable thing was Ivar was going to run second. We probably should have just put a place bet on Ivar.
That's just it. I mean, Ivar did his thing and paid. What did he pay? I don't know what he paid. It's not showing up on the feed, but yeah. I mean, the fact that a tone, like I had a tone third and I had Ivar fourth. Yeah. So them running well didn't surprise me at all. But I think it was just a fact of the way our horse did run and then the way that a tone kind of dominated the race, really. And you're just like, really? Like I could never got there. And then especially when you got, I get Queen Goddess. That was my top pick. The horse looked awesome. Paid $10.40 to win. I mean, it was just a great price and looked good. It's like, all right, here we go. We were although, we were hitting some like parts of tries and stuff. We couldn't get one through. And we finally got a little bit of momentum there. And I thought, all right, just get Cityman home. We got this thing cashed. Well, how pissed would you have been if Cityman would have romped and we had all these payouts, good payouts to the three, logical horses and freaking Art Collector. Not only that, but like we never were close. I mean, I guess the funded would have gave us a little bit of a ride, but still, like Art Collector kind of dominated that race down the stretch.
Well, how about this? We talked about all week. It's like, God, these races are so competitive. They're going to be close. None of them were close. The 3 Pegasus races were blowout wins. Your horse, Queen Goddess, could have run around again. I mean, she dominated that group. You had a tone pretty much galloped away from that field towards the end. And then Art Collector, even if you had him, you didn't think he was going to win by how many that he did. I mean, it was never in doubt. So it definitely, like, each race you'd watch it and be like, man, that's incredible. That is incredible that that horse was not only a winner, but just galloped away and won it pretty easy. And you turned for home and it was never in doubt, you know? So, gosh, many horses on the card just did not fire. And the ones that did fire really ran well. I mean, you got to give Art Corrector a ton of credit. He ran a monster of a race.
Huge, huge. Like, and Gabe, I'm sorry, that's rough because going into that, you got to think it's a matter of which payout am I getting, not am I going to hit this, you know? And so that's the thing, like to that point of like people getting there, and I mean, I guess I can get, especially if you've liked Art Collector for a long time, but
Yeah.
you have to you have to also assume he's beating Defunded, and he's beating Cyberknife. Oh, and by the way, he's got to beat Skippy. Like, oh, there's a bunch of, not like that's the greatest field, don't get me wrong, but for him to win, he has to outrun all those other horses too. If those other three were in the race, Art Collector makes a lot of sense, or you could get there, but it just seemed like he could run well and not win that race, and I just never would have gotten there personally. Like,
well, if I would have told you no horse in the race would have closed, then you would have said, well, I'll use the 5 and the 6 probably, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened. They kind of got out there and nobody came from the back. Everybody kind of ranged up like they're going to make the move, and then it's like they hit a wall, and then it was just who's going to outkick each other, the 5 or the 6. You could make a case that Art Collector had shown just as good, if not better, races than Defunded. So, I mean, that's how you get there, but you're going to have to make that assumption that any horse coming from about 2 or 3 links off of it, they're just not going to close. And that's what happened, basically.
All right, we'll get to this. We'll talk a little bit more about this horse here in a little bit when we talk about these. But flash over to the Southwest real quick. Another one of those races that, while the winner wasn't necessarily surprising, the way it kind of the Corona Bolt not firing, and really no one really fired except for Arabian Night. Red Route 1, props to him, right? He'll fire every time. But Arabian Night, what were your thoughts on the performance? And what do you kind of make of that field overall?
Well, like I say, you just go from highs to lows. That whole live stream, that whole day, you just saw Art Collector, dominated Pegasus, and your horse was like 8th, and it's like, this is awful. And then you play that straight exacta Arabian Night Red Route 1, and you're like, that's exactly, like, literally exactly what happened in my head is what happened right now on the screen. It's like, how's the same guy handicapping both these races? It's ridiculous. That's what horse race will do to you. But as far as Arabian Lion, hopefully Arabian Lion, but Arabian Night, he did pretty much what I thought he would do. Take it to him, go after him, make him come get you. Nobody would challenge him, and he took off. So I thought it was a really, really good first step. There's more steps for him to go, but he could not have done that one much better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still at the point where I'm not having to, I don't know, like, these next couple of weeks are going to be interesting on what they do with these horses, or what he starts to do with these horses, because I just can't trust these performances yet, because I don't know what they mean moving forward, because one, they're not getting any points for these races, and two, where are they going? How will that be handled? Even I'm just confused of how this is. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence, I guess, of how these horses are going to continue to run as well as they are running or have been running. Then you look at a horse like Cave Rock, we haven't even seen yet, and like you mentioned, I can't remember if you mentioned on the show or mentioned to me personally, but it was like his first start's going to be with some other trainer.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't know how. I'm excited. I thought that was a nice performance. I'm not over the moon about it.
Well, that was just it. Like, right after that race was over, everybody's like, well, where's he going? What trainer will he be at? And it does. Every time this happens, it puts a damper on what you just saw. Like, you should, after that race, be saying, man, that's awesome. Where are we going to go next? How are they going to route this out? This is like the next big horse? And instead, you say that for a couple of minutes, and it's like, well, shit, who's going to train him? Where will he be? It's just a mess. And you're right. It's hard to get real excited about him. People really jumped on him and thinking that he was great. And like I said, I don't think he could have done much different to be better than he did in that race. He was fantastic. but it's step one, and there's a lot of steps to go. So, yeah, I'm with you. It's like, where are we going to end up is really going to make a difference on how excited we get about this horse.
Yeah, we'll see. I personally have Forte, Cave Rock, and then Arabian Night third. I'm starting to wonder if we're not just going to. I mean, it's still too early, but it kind of had the way these 3-year-olds have not been impressive. There's been nothing super exciting so far, and kind of makes you wonder if it's like a Nyquist year where Nyquist won the Breeders' Cup, and we kind of he was an impressive horse, but we kind of just kept waiting. Who's the horse going to be? The new horse going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to take him down? And no one ever showed up, and he just ultimately was the best horse all year until the Derby. I kind of wondering if we're not. It's still too early, but maybe Forte is just better than everybody else, and we'll see when he comes back. Obviously, in the Fountain of Youth, but it seems like that is looking more and more likely every prep we see with a mild, results.
Well, I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding of what you're just saying. We got a 96 buyer from Arabian Night, which is solid. I mean, that's very solid. But everybody was ready to crown the horse, and I think that's a sign that, hey, what we've seen so far is not great. He's far and away the best one we've seen as a 3-year-old. But I'm with you. Mike Somage is with us too. We talked about it on the Kentucky Derby Update show. It just kind of feels like there's a leader in the clubhouse. It's Forte, and then if you want to put Cave Rock right there with him, and nobody's risen to that level yet to run with those two. Now, Forte's had a couple works back. They haven't been anything flashy yet, but that's probably by design. Cave Rock, I mean, where are we looking here? I mean, we still don't have a workout from this horse. You're looking March at least before he runs, and he's another one. What trainer is he going to be for? And you go on down those questions again with him, because it's up in the air at this point. We need to see a work from him soon.
It's February, and I mean, and all these other horses, like, it's seeming less and less like could it be one of those situations where it's like Santa Anita Derby, and then Kentucky Derby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forte had a lot, including from ourselves, where it was like, oh yeah, he looks good, but Cave Rock I think is better, and then he shut that down real quick in the Breeders' Cup, and it kind of makes you wonder if Forte, the longer he's gone, it's like, well, I don't know, and then he comes back and he's like, no, he's still better than everybody else.
It feels like that is very possible that could happen pending, how he looks. You always have to wait for their 3 to kind of see how they look. But it feels like that is the likely scenario at this time. It's just, the horses that they beat, being Forte and Cave Rock and even Loggins, but he's out. They're coming back and winning races, or at least running well in races. And it does kind of just point to, hey, that's still the horse until somebody knocks him off. Now, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner has not come back to win in a while. So that first race is the 3-year-old. So that's something to look for as well. Long way to go. But, yeah, it's interesting that we just don't have that horse really jumping off the screen at us.
All right, let's get to it. Today's show, we're going to preview and get picks for Saturday's $250,000 Holy Bull. Yeah, that's right, the workout.
It's bad.
And the fact that if you don't see another work from him soon, like that, we'll see. And another thing too is, like, we'll talk about that allowance race, the undercard of the Holy Bull, but Pletcher's got 2 in there, and not to say they're to Forte's standards, they're probably not, but you would think likely those horses would go to the Fountain of Youth, one of them, if not both of them. Where's Forte go? What if he's not bad? So we'll see. We'll talk more about that race. The 250K Holy Bull at Gulfstream, and the $200,000 Robert B. Lewis at Santa Anita Park. Both, well, kind of prep races for the Kentucky Derby. They are technical prep races. Only one is going to give points away, though. Then we're going to give some rapid fire selections for the remaining stakes races, some of them. this weekend at Gulfstream Park, Oaklawn Park, Santa Anita Park, and Tampa Bay Downs. We got a big show today. Let's go. Yeah, it's we'll get into the Robert B. Lewis. Interesting to say the least.
I think it's the more likely of the two to produce some kind of decent horse.
Yeah, but it's like,
but
here we are again. Like, what does that mean? You know?
Fully. I have no idea what it means.
I mean, I agree with you. 4 Bafferts, 4 horses in the field, and none of them can, not only that, it's like they give up to 5 placings for points, and there's only 4 horses, and they're all Bafferts, so none of them are going to get any points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just weird. All right, let's go. Let's start at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, race 12, the Grade 3 Holy Bull Stakes. Race 12, we're $250K for 3-year-olds going to mile 16th. And yeah, I mean, this one to me is the lesser, maybe as far as the end goal or the end results of these horses being on the Kentucky Derby. But it is a field of 8, and it's a competitive field of 8. It's 2-1 on Cyclone Mischief. Your 4 horse, you've got Lord Miles at 4-1. You got a couple 7-2s in Legacy Isle and Rocket Can for Bill Mott. It's really all over the place. If you're like me, and I believe you as well, as good as Cyclone Mischief looked last out, taking him at 2-1 seems problematic.
100%. There's no way I'm playing him as the favorite in this race, and that's just how it is. Especially when you look at the analytics and you look at the other horses, and he's not a huge standout. Romans and McPeak, they're one and the same, right? If they're a decent price, you give them a shot, you can make some money with them. Yeah, they make sense. Romans and McPeak as favorites, it's just not for me. It's never going to be for me. And unless it's like a Swiss Skydiver situation where they just stand out in a major way. Last week, I played against McPeak as a big favorite in the Martha Washington. Got 3-1 on a Brad Cox horse. Guess who won? The Brad Cox horse. So that's where I'm at. I'm not going to play Cyclone Mischief on top as a favorite. I will say, listen, I've heard from day one, this is a really nice horse. And you know what? At times, he's been a really nice horse, including last time out. He's also been a little inconsistent. I'll take a shot against him in this spot. I'm going to go to the rail horse, number 1, Lord Miles. I'm going to take a shot with him. I think 4-1 is about the right price for him. I think getting Irad aboard is a pretty good sign. I think stretching out in distance is really, really what this horse needs. I think he's the one they're going to have to hold up late.
I like this horse quite a bit. He was on my list. Let's put it that way. Draft at night for, this Lord Miles. It was a horse that I was interested in. I'm with you. I think Cyclone Mischief is beatable, no doubt. And I just, and it's more than anything, it's just a personal, like you said, the fact that Del Romans is 2-1 is just an instant cross out for me. I just don't even consider picking this horse to win because it just doesn't happen. It's too unlikely. I don't trust it. I don't trust the horse, although the horse has been very good. To me, it's between the 8 and the 1. Rocket Can, I thought looked pretty good last time out. Of course, we hadn't seen the horse since November, but he's a horse that faced some tough horses in his first 2 races at Saratoga, and then went to Churchill and stretched out. Looked pretty good. Got beat last time out in that allowance race to Confidence Game, and then Lord Miles, to me, gets the blinkers on, which I think is a nice sign. Gets Irad Ortiz aboard, which is a great sign. Going longer, I think, is only going to help this horse. You watch that last race, the Mitchell Macho Man was flying late after not necessarily the greatest of trips, came flying late and really just ran out of real estate. The race before that, the horse just cruised. The horse continues to make those strides up with the blinkers on, gets a little more focused, gets a better jockey. I'm with you. I think Lord Miles, to me, is the horse I like most here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the upside is definitely there. And, to piggyback on Cyclone Mischief, he's got a couple of things going for him in a big way. Number one, yeah, he's the favorite. Yeah, it's Dale, but there's not a Pletcher monster you got to beat. Like, there's not a big time horse. So he can definitely win in this spot. And so that you got that going for him. Dale says he's the best horse he ever trained. That's whatever, like that's whatever, no big deal there. He says that about every horse. So I
What do
just,
you say to Gabe's comment?
somebody closed last week and you guys both like a couple of who'll be off the pace. Well, I mean, there's been races since last week. What you watched today, you watched yesterday, there's horses closing. I'm not overly concerned about it.
No, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Basically, it's like what I mean. Every day is a different day. I mean, you see it all the time where a track is, they have it set up for speed, and then the next day closers are winning. And I think the biggest thing is if you like a horse, if you are playing that angle, right? And there's, I mean, nothing wrong with playing that angle. It's the 4, right? Or the 6, I guess. Legacy Isle. I think Legacy Isle probably be on the lead.
Yep.
I know that there's some comment from Bree there asking about Legacy Isle. I mean, that's the danger of this horse is the horse, has not lost. I guess technically did. He got placed second, but cross the wire first. Last time out, he hasn't lost. Has been basically gate to wire every time. Has plenty of speed. Who's to say the horse can't do it again? Luis Saez jumps aboard. I get why you would play this horse, especially if, say, none of these horses are that good, right? Mm-hmm. This horse just kind of continues to do his thing. I'm taking a shot against. I thought the horse was kind of looking like didn't want much more of that last race, and he's going to have to hold off a few other horses here.
Speed on the dirt is always, something that's going to be dangerous no matter where you're at or what the track's playing like. And that's the thing. If you think the 6 can get the distance, he's kind of the one to beat, right? And you are getting that rider upgrade to Luis Saez. I'm kind of with Jared. You rewatch the Mucho Macho Man going a flat mile, and damn, it just didn't seem like that horse wanted to go too much further than that. I don't think he holds on that day. Pace could be different. I think the 6 and the 5 are kind of going to go out there and kind of go head to head. The 5 should be the one I think that's going to come out and should have probably pressed last time and just didn't break very well. Maybe he pressed a little bit this time. Cyclone Mischief should be sitting right there. I mean, this horse sits about 3rd in the spot, I think, and he's got first run on him. There's no doubt.
And I think too, with the 1, I would be surprised. Now it is Irad, so you never know, but I would be surprised if, given that he has put Irad aboard, that he does throw blinkers on the horse. I don't think Safi really wants this horse to be that far back, at least as far back as he was in the Mucho Macho Man. Gave him way too much to do. We all know that it's hard to win races like that. It's certainly hard to win Derby races like that. And so I think he's going to want this horse to be more, I wouldn't say on the lead or near the lead, but more of a stalking position, that kind of 5 or 6 links back versus being, 7, 8, 10 links back. So I think this horse is going to be further or closer up to, and I imagine if the horse has that same kind of kick, that's why I like the 1 as much as I do.
He set 4 links off of a 6 furlong pace. He's only sat 5 and 6 links going a mile off the pace. I don't think he'll be that far back. If he's good enough, I'm not really worried about the closing.
And Safi's the kind of trainer that he trains a lot of speed into him. You know what I mean? Like they tend to have quite a bit of speed in general.
I'll be shocked if he's not within 4 or 5. And I think if he is, then it's just him being good enough. And I don't know, I don't know if he's good enough or not, but this is the field where I think he can win and a good spot to try him.
Well, you said it, Dennis. I was talking to Halterman about that yesterday. I was like, man, he was bad, wasn't he? His horses did not run at all. on Saturday. Staffy Joseph, that is, like this horses that we liked, Skippy, Guadabario, whoever it is in the main ones, but like just the horses just didn't run.
I've never seen him have a full day like that. I mean, some of his horses, they tend to maybe not show up. They're all or nothing types. Every horse was a nothing. Every single horse, they just did not show up. Did not show up. But you know what? They've ran races since then. He's won 2 out of 5. I mean, it's you can't just say, well, his horses are terrible now, and don't watch after the big day because he's 2 out of 5 since. So Lord Miles may run shitty, but I don't think it's because Saffy's cursed or forgot how to train.
I think a lot of people could learn from you. A lot of people play just like the Friday, Saturdays or the Saturday, Sundays. And, you have to kind of erase your mind every single day, basically, and get back to it and get back to making picks and trying to figure out. And so, you have to have that, what's a new day kind of mentality that, just because this, just like the track being fast or the Saffy's, he's cold or whatever. It's like, you have to just have that mentality of, well, it's horse racing, shit happens, crazy things can happen, but it doesn't mean it's the new, the new realm, the new thing that's like supposed to happen now moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you have to have the attitude. I mean, like I said, when you have to do it every day, every track, you just turn the page. And also, it's like if you're just playing one track a couple days a week, you take that little surface of what's happening, and it's like that's all you analyze. But you do 8 tracks, well, it's like, well, hell, I hit like 5 out of 8 winners over here, so I'm obviously not an idiot. I just whatever happened over there happened, So yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, you just turn the page, you turn to the next race. And for Saffy, I'm sure he turned to the next day very happily after that Pegasus disaster. So it is, it just kind of is what it is in that regard.
All right, we're both picking the one Lord Miles to win this race. So the 2 questions is if he wins, like we're predicting he does, is there a scenario that you think he's a legit candidate for the Kentucky Derby? And I mean, obviously he is because he would have 20 points, but is he like a legit horse? And then the second question is if he doesn't win, say Cyclone Mischief, who is going to go off as your favorite for Dale Romans, has all this hype. If he were to win and does it somewhat impressively, is there a point where you just have to put to bed the Dale Romans factor and say, you know what, maybe this is a really good horse?
If he wins, even if he's last, you still can't forget about him because he's going to get opportunities. He should win the race if he's the real deal. If you are a horse that's really good and you lose right here, it's not good. There's not, and I don't want to hear excuses and all this shit. It's not good. He's got to win here if he's the real deal. But at the same token, don't forget about him when he's 10-1 in the Bluegrass if he loses this race, because that's when he could really strike and get you. He should win the race. And I think if he wins, he's probably the best horse we've seen in Florida so far. We haven't seen much in Florida so far. So it's a big race for him. He needs to win it.
The thing about him that's impossible is win, lose, or draw, it's impossible to predict what he's going to do in any race moving forward. You can't, like you said, if he wins here, he could easily not show up the next race. If he loses here, he could win the Bluegrass at 10-1, and he could run a really good second in the Kentucky Derby somehow, or whatever it is. Like, it's just that's what makes the Dale Romans horses so hard to bet, so hard to predict. I just don't. There's no rhyme or reason with his horses and how he trains a horse, and you use them defensively is all I can really say.
Well, yeah, that's like Gabe says, we're going to be so mad when he wins. No, not at all, because I'll have him on pick 4s and pick 5s. I mean, because I think he's one of the 2 or 3 horses that can win. I'm not betting him. It's what's going to be like 6-5, 7-5. It's never going to happen. that I'm going to bet a Dale Romans horse at that price. It's just not going to happen. And listen, a lot of people listen to our shows and be like, wow, you hate this guy. No, this is about betting. All right. It's not about, I like Dale Romans. He's one of the nicest people we've met. Okay. I would love to see him win. At the same time, I'm not dumb. I'm not going to bet him at a short price ever. It doesn't work out. I have no hate for the guy. I just can't bet him at 6-5 in a Derby prep. I just can't.
Yeah, you said it. And you said a really good, you text me on Saturday, a really good thought. And I want to make sure that people hear that. It's like, you said, basically, if I'm not comfortable picking a horse at 6-5, if I would tell you, hey, I don't think I could bet that horse with my money at 6-5, then why are you picking him? You know, and if you think about that logic, it makes a lot of sense. We're sitting here saying, with my money, I could not, and I certainly couldn't tell you with your money to bet the 4 at 6-5. So why would I pick the horse at 6-5? He could win, sure, but I just can't. I can't do it, you know. And so I think that's a good logic to have with a horse or any kind of a race where it's like, if you don't feel comfortable, if it's one of those, like, you know, don't get into the situation where it's like, well, I really don't like the horse, or I don't think he's 6-5. I should play him, but who else could win? So I think I'm going to pick him. Like, pick someone else.
Pretty much. I mean, you said it right, and that's what it is, right? And if he beats you at 6-5, don't worry about it, because it made your stomach turn to bet that horse at 6-5. Well, he beat you. Okay, you were wrong, but more times than not, that's going to work out. You just got to listen to what your gut's telling you to do in those situations. And again, if he wins this race, I will not be angry, and I will not be surprised, because he fits. He does fit. I mean, that race last time out, probably going to win if he runs it again.
Halterman and I have a good system where we both, with McPeak and Romans, we have it's like, okay, if I'm ever feeling like I want to pick one of those horses at a low price, we just call the other one and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And they say, you fucking idiot, what are you doing? Stop. And then we fix it. So it's a good system. It's a buddy system. I encourage everyone to have one of those in their life.
Everybody needs a one like that. Yes. And like I said, McPeak, Swiss skydiver, that burned us a few times. No doubt.
Yeah. But not Swiss. It was, who's the other horse that, can't think of it off the top of my head, but sometimes it works whenever when they go down the line a little bit and they've been rough, and now all of a sudden, like you're talking about with this horse, say this horse 10-1 in the bluegrass. Well, it's seeming, someone commented the other day about the McPeak horse. I don't remember what day it was. I think it was at Fairgrounds or something. It was like, surprised Jared didn't pick that horse, because it's got all the, the right angles with the McPeak. And I mean, certainly is a horse that I look at more whenever, but like, again, this horse if he's that low of a price, I don't even consider. And I can live my whole life with that logic just fine.
Well, like with McPeak last weekend, and again, I have nothing against him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't think he's a terrible trainer. It's just, I don't play him, as a favorite. And so you look at McPeak as the example, right? Last weekend, Martha Washington, he's even money. Yeah, no, thank you. Southwest, he's got 2 horses that are like 30-1. Yeah, maybe we can get on board. And guess what? One of them got third and helped blow up a try with a big favorite winning.
Yeah, it's all about watching these guys and knowing how they enter horses, and just because they are a huge price doesn't mean they're not live. Just experience. All right, we're both on number 1, Lord Miles, to win the Holy Bull. All right, let's go to the next, and because the Withers is off the board this weekend, the other Derby prep at Santa Anita, race 3, the Robert B. Lewis, grade 3, 200K for 3-year-olds going to mile 16th. Both these races are technically Derby prep races. 28-6-4-2 for your top 5 finishers. But we got a problem here, Alterman. We got 4 horses entered in the Robert B. Lewis. All 4 are trained by the the Darth Maul of horse racing, Bob Baffert. So he can't get any points. So no points will be rewarded for this race. But it is a Derby prep, meaning these are Derby type horses. It's the perfect race if you're trying to figure out which Baffert horse is good, because they're all going to line up and they're not. You know that none of them are going to press each other. They're all going to run like the exact race that Bob wants these horses to run. Because it's going to be like watching a workout. It's just a matter of trying to figure out which horse is going to work out the best.
I don't know the answer to the. I hate races like this, and I've said it before. I hate when there's 3 or 4 horses in a race, and that those horses kind of control what the pace does. Well, this is an entirely new thing for us. Every single horse is a Baffert. The 4 I think was just entered to fill the race, so I think you could scratch him out. The other 3, it's like, yeah, okay, they're interesting, but look at their odds: 7-5, 8-5, 9-5. And that's what they'll be too, So would not be shocked if the maiden wins, but I didn't want to. That's the 3-horse booster, but I didn't go there. I think it's Arabian Lion or Newgate. I think if Arabian Lion bounces back, he's going to win. I think he's better than Newgate, and if he doesn't, I think Newgate's kind of better than the rest of them. Putting the blinkers on again, I think it's going to help. He has 1 win with the blinkers, 2 win without, so it might as well put him back on. The horse in the mornings has been showing himself. He's been showing that he is going to bounce back. I'll take Arabian Lion, but this is it. And that's just for any of these horses, any of them that lose this race, I don't want to hear them mentioned in my life ever again.
It's first of all, before I get what the hell is the matter with this track?
I don't know.
I tweeted it out, and there he's like, oh, like Bob Baffert's problem. No, I'm not talking about the fact that Bob Baffert has 4 horses. Like, it's not uncommon for Bob Baffert to have 2 or 3 in a Derby prep out there because he's got a bunch of horses. And in that case, he kind of does here, and because the 4 is just a filler. But why is there not other ones? It's a 20-point race. We know that Bob Baffert can't get points, so you're able to pick up more points than maybe you could normally. I don't you can't tell me you can't find 2 or 3 other horses in over out there in California, or ship one out or whatever. I just think it's a joke of a race.
Yeah.
Past the fact of there might, Arabian Lion could bounce back, or Newgate could be. These aren't terrible horses, I don't think, but it's more of the bigger picture of how is this all we can get in this race?
Past even that, and it's awful. The nominations, 14 of the 16 nominations were Bob Baffert trained horses.
Yeah.
Where is everybody? And, we were talking to John White about it, and we were talking about, in Del Mar in the summer and even in their fall meet, when they do their 2-year-old maiden special weight races, they got a bunch of them. There's usually pretty full fields. Maybe there's not 12 in the field, but maybe there's 9 or 10 every race. And it's not all Bafferts. He might have 1 or 2, but there's also a lot of other trainers in there. Where the hell are you? Why are you not running in this race? It's unexplainable. I don't get it. I don't get it. It just seems like every year when we're at Del Mar, my thought process is, wow, California's doing well. They're starting to get better fields. And then we get to this meet at Santa Anita, and after opening day, it's like, where the fuck is all the horses? Where are they? They're not anywhere to be found. It's bizarre.
And by the way, Dennis, I would have, but Cooper just turned 4 a week ago. So
yeah.
He's out. He's an older male now, so he can't compete with the 3-year-olds any longer. But no, it's I don't know. I just don't. And it's we give all the shit to Bob Baffert. We don't really necessarily anymore, but we in general we give all the shit to Bob Baffert, and it's well, shit. At least he's running his horses. What would he do? What would we do if we banned him completely?
Yeah,
just not have the Robert B. Lewis. It's at least he's got horses to fill, and frankly, like you said, the 4 is probably a filler. So he's really 3, in the race. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought I had to look like 3 times. Like, that can't be right. It cannot be right that we only got these horses to run in this race. It's anyways. So it is happening. This is so basically the way we got to look at this race is a prep, a workout, like I mentioned before, and kind of what it means moving forward. Again, no one's getting points, but at least it can give us an idea of what these horses might do, and maybe the ones that might move forward to the Derby Trail, because it's not really a Derby Trail yet with these horses because they're not getting points. Point is, I'm with you. I think it's the 1 or the 2. If the 1 can bounce back, he'll make it competitive. I'm starting to wonder if we saw 2 Arabian horses, not Arabian bred, but you know what I mean? Arabian horses at Keeneland that day. 1 was the goods, 1 wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder, not saying it's, both of them owned by the same owner. Wondering if that was the case. But he's definitely better than he was in the Los Alpha Charity. I mean, I think we all can say that. He was beyond awful. Something had to have happened. Velasquez stays aboard. That's obviously a positive sign. Do you look at the 2 Newgate, and he's not like the sexiest horse to pick, but the last 2 races, the Bob Hope and the Sham, got beat by having Meltdown, who's a fantastic sprinter. I think he showed that last time out. He also beat Practical Move, who obviously went on to win the Los Alpha Charity that day, and then got beat by Reincarnate last time out in the Sham. And I thought he gave Reincarnate everything he wanted that day. And I think Reincarnate might be, 3rd best effort, I guess. Behind Cave Rock and Arabian Night. So, it's not like that's a bad loss. I think Dettori getting back aboard, maybe learned a couple things there.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe Newgate's race.
He got just as good a chance as the other 2 that have a chance that weren't entered just because they needed the race to fill, right? So I think, are you going to be? I'm not going to be shocked. I think that's a good pick. He did run on really well. He's been against good competition, and sometimes it hasn't gone great, and sometimes it's just been okay. Is this good competition? I don't know. You might be right. Arabian Lion, he did have 2 really good races, but that last one was just awful. So if he's that kind of horse, it's Newgate's to lose.
Well, the other factor is, I think that, Worcester could definitely win. I think it's unlikely, but this horse should be a lot better going long. He's bred to go long. He's been running 6 and 6.5 furlongs. Hijazi was awesome, I thought, in that main special weight, and he gave that horse everything he wanted. That horse just a little bit better. This horse certainly, because you can make the case of, okay, well, maybe Arabian Lion puts another stinker in, and Newgate is just kind of what he is, right? Just nothing special, but not bad. All it's going to take is a horse to pop, and maybe Worcester does, ran a 94 buyer that day. I think that's going to be probably right around what it's going to take to win this thing, 95, 96. So certainly could improve going longer. So honestly, any of those 3, I'd be a little surprised if a 4-1, but any of these 3 could win. And I don't know if you're playing multis and stuff. I have a hard time. You're either just locking in and saying I'm singling Newgate or whoever and just hope I'm right, or you just play all 3 and try to buy the race.
Or you play all 4, because like Dennis mentioned, you got 4 horses, you're going to win. You can play some funny games, right? You get the highest price one to win. That's why you couple horses. That's why most tracks make you couple horses and a couple entries, right? So you don't play those games. Well, here there's games to be played, so nothing would really shock me. You'll see. Honestly, I think the only horse that has potential to really be like good out of this is Arabian Lion, because we kind of know Newgate is good, not great.
Yeah.
The 3, it's like, look, I know he's going to improve, but he's still a maiden. I don't think he's going to win this and then go on to be a great horse. So
No, I'm with you. I mean, the one was bred, was bought, was purchased, was owned. I mean, trained to be a legit horse.
yeah.
No doubt about it.
Now, whether he is or not, I have no idea.
This is a big race for him.
It's
big
huge.
race because if he doesn't fire again, he can't beat a 4-horse field, then they're going to have to kind of rethink the strategy with him. And considering they have the stablemate, same owner, just won last week, you got to think they might kind of slow down with Arabian Lion completely and not give a lot of pressure moving forward with him on the Derby trail anyway. So
yeah,
it's a big race for him more than anyone else in the race. No doubt about it.
Yep. No question.
So I did the same thing. I think you kind of answered it there. We both are picking, or I mean, are you picking Arabian Lion?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, I'm picking Newgate technically, but I mean, it's either way it could go. Whoever does win this race, are you kind of automatically filing it under maybe the category right under Arabian Night, kind of in that reincarnate section of the Baffert horses?
It's really hard to know that answer until you see how this specifically is going to be run and what they do with these horses and what if they do something dumb and this or that. I don't know. I think this has the potential to produce like a top 12 type of horse, let's say. I don't think we're going to exit this race and go, that's a top 5 horse. I think that would be surprising.
Yeah, I mean, unless Arabian Lion, like, if he just destroys the field and like just puts him away, then you might say, okay, maybe he is really, really good, and he becomes like top 5, top 8, something like that. But because he certainly has the upside. But let's not forget Newgate had a lot of upside too at one point. So we'll see. Maybe Arabian Lion is like the newer Newgate. We'll find out on Saturday in this unbelievably epic field, competitive as it all out. The Robert B. Lewis. I've got number 2 Newgate. He's got number 1 Arabian Lion. We think Bob Baffert is going to win this race. How many times have you heard that? I think Bob Baffert's going to win.
Literally, like when the overnights came out, people were tweeting us that.
With the Bob Baffert super. That's clever.
One thing about it, Messier won this race last year. Of course, he went on to do nothing. The Kentucky Derby winner, at least for 4 or 5 days, Medina Spirit, won this race 2 years ago. So there's been some decent ones winning. Mucho Gusto, who went on to win the Pegasus, he was in this race and won. Dortmund won this race. So he's had some good ones win here. He's also had some bad ones too. So.
All right, let's do some rapid fire. We've got we can go all over the place here. We're gonna go to Gulfstream, back to Gulfstream, Oaklawn, back to Santa Anita, and Tampa Bay. A bunch of races. We're gonna do an allowance race too. That big allowance race might be the race of the day at Gulfstream Park. Certainly the one that maybe has the most interesting 3-year-olds. So we'll get to that as well. So let's see. Let's get to it. Man, I feel like our shows, like you guys it's great. Everyone, they're the longest shows. We just feel like we could talk. It used to be where some shows we can get an hour. If we really try, we can do an hour, but it's just too fun talking to everybody about horse racing.
So. That's right. I blame the commenters for sure.
I blame Shoddy more than anybody.
That's okay. Fair.
All right, time for rapid fire presented by the Racing Dudes Rockets. This is a product that Halterman and I do together. Halterman kind of takes the lead on this every day they're available. So Halterman, I put you on the spot. Tell the people about the Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets every day for usually it's the main 3 tracks on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Oaklawn, Gulfstream Park, and Santa Anita, and then we do some Wednesdays and Thursdays too. You get pick 4 and pick 5 tickets. You get race by race analysis. and our combined top fours in the race as well. That we do a free rocket that you got pulled up on the screen right now for a pick four every day. And we are live going into the last leg of this pick four at Gulfstream Park right now. I believe it was is that today's that you're on?
Yeah.
That's tomorrow's, I think. I think that's the third. Yeah.
Oh.
But today's Magic already changed it out, dummy. But today we had a $24 ticket, and we're live anywhere from 100 to about 250 going into 3 horses here. So do that every day, or like I said, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can check them out at racingnews.com.
There you go. It's like it's like the getting the best of both worlds. Halter and I teaming up, and you get those every single day they're available. And yeah, I mean, the tickets are usually, we try to keep them low, the prices, and knock on wood, we do quite well with the ROIs on that. So make sure you go check out Racing Dudes Rockets under the Racing Dudes Premium section at racingdudes.com. All right, let's go back to Gulfstream Park for a couple of these races on Saturday. Let's kick it off with race 6, the Claiborne Farm Swell Stakes, Grade 3, $125K for 3-year-olds, going 7 furlongs, field of 6. Lines up here, led by your outside favorite at 6-5, number 6, Super Chow. You going with the favorite, or are you trying to beat him?
Yeah, I went with the favorite here. I do like Super Chow. He's been pretty darn impressive over this track. It's last time out was kind of, I thought, a proving ground in a way for this horse. Wanted to see what the horse could do, and I thought ran very well. And I just think he can kind of parlay that into more success today. I think he gets out to the lead. And I think he just kind of takes some gate to wire like he does. I mean, this horse has won 4 in a row, 5 out of 6. I think he's tough in this spot here. I like Super Chow.
I almost went there, and I went and watched back the Mucho Macho Man, and I hate to, maybe I'm putting too much stock in it, but I was sold on the poor trip the one got that day,
Yep.
General Jim, and I'm going to take him once again here, kind of rebound. Luis Saez, kind of the regular jockey there. Alvarado rode once, but Saez was on last time out, stays aboard. Lord Miles, a horse that you and I picked just a little bit ago to win the Holy Bull, was a horse that finished right ahead of him that day in that Mucho Macho Man. You watch that. I mean, this horse maybe should have got a better trip, but just never could get out. And every time he tried to get out, he got cut off, and it seemed like he had to run and then got cut off. I get the drawing the rail isn't ideal if you're looking for a horse that gets a little bit better trip. But I think if this horse can just gets him outside a little bit, he should have plenty of run. Should sit a nice trip with a little bit of speed lined up in here with the, you mentioned, obviously your horse, Super Chow, but there's a bunch of speed in here. And I think if that horse can sit a nice trip and kind of kick out, I like the one quite a bit here to kind of rebound off of a troubled effort last time out in the Mucho Macho Man. So I'm going to go with number 1, General Jim.
I picked him in that Mucho Macho Man, and I was really pissed at the trip he got. He will definitely be on a ticket. I think he's got talent. He's a good turf horse too, so it'll be interesting to see if they get him back on the turf at some point.
Yeah, and that's the issue with him, right? Is like we didn't get really a good chance to see what he could do on the dirt. I mean, we did see him on debut, but that race, because he never really got a chance to run when the real running mattered. He was really good on turf, so you still have that question mark as if he's a turf horse, so to speak. But I'm willing to give him another shot here because I think he's, especially if you can get anywhere in the ballpark of that 5-2, which I highly doubt you do. All right, let's go to an allowance race. We don't do a lot of allowance races on rapid fire, but this one is worthy of it. Race 8 on the Gulfstream Park card. It's an allowance optional claiming, $75K, $86,000 purse, 1 mile for 3-year-olds. And field of 7 lines up here, and this is a big race. You got the 9-5 horse on the inside, Tap It Trice, all the way to the outside. You get the 7 horse Shesterkin. Say it. Shesterkin. Thank you. I'll get it now. 8-5. Both trained by Todd Pletcher, both kind of highly touted 3-year-olds. One going to the lead, one's going to be coming off of it. Kind of feels like they've got the field literally engulfed here. Which one are you going with?
I'm going to go with more of the pace presence here of the number 7, Shesterkin. You look at this setup, it looks like he's going to be loose on the lead. I think that's going to be tough for Tap It Trice. I went back and watched Tappa Trice's Baden win. He certainly looked pretty solid. I don't think this is one you better sleep on. End of the day, though, I do think Shesterkin's going to be really tough to run down if he gets that kind of trip that he's projected to get on paper. So I'll lean him, but wouldn't be surprised either way in this one.
Yeah, man, I definitely think it's those two. Not gonna get real creative there. I obviously am biased with Tappet Trice, a horse that I went and watched closely in that maiden special weight again. Ultimately claiming the horse. I don't know when it was, a month ago, in the fantasy league, because I just thought that the horse, I thought, showed a lot, and I think this horse, I'm with you. I am concerned, one, by the mile, and I do think that having this stablemate in there is a pace situation, because there really isn't a lot of pace signed into the race. You really would like to see one other horse in here that likes to fly, that can at least put a little bit of pressure. Now, the only thing is I mean, it's not like it's huge going 7 furlongs to a mile. The 7 hasn't gone this far yet. Only had one start, whereas Tappa Trice has ran both races at a mile. So you've got that going for you. But yeah, it's going to be one of those cases. Hopefully we see kind of the 7 on the lead and the 1 trying to run them down, and we'll kind of get an idea of maybe who's better one. But I am going Tappa Trice. It's very close. I think that both these horses are somewhat legit. I think you need to keep an eye out for these horses, as you got to think, if not both, depending on how they run, you're going to see. And I don't know, maybe I don't know if the Fountain of Youth, considering Forte's aiming for that race, but you're going to see these horses on the Derby prep next time out. And I mean, Tappa Trice is a $1.3 million horse for legit owners, for Todd Pletcher. There's a lot to like about him, and same with Shesterkin. I mean, this is a violence horse, but was a high priced horse as well. Has the owners that we common to knowing with Todd Pletcher. So I think both these horses have high upside.
I do too. I wish they were running at a mile and 16th, so you could compare this time with the Holy Bull time. I don't know why they didn't do that, but whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. I think they're both going to jump up. I mean, you see who's in the Holy Bull, and yeah, and there's a couple that we talked about, they look decent, but past them, there's not a ton in there. So these horses would fit into a race like the Holy Bull. Now you're going to get one more race under their belt, and I think they're ready to go to preps if they run well next time out.
Are you a little surprised? I mean, Shesterkin maybe is not so much a surprise because of the one race and 7 furlongs, and he stretches out to a mile here. Are you a little surprised, even though it was just a main special weight, that Tappa Trice didn't show up in the Holy Bull, versus running once again at a mile, even though it is logically the right progression?
I think with the way they've set up these Derby preps, these 10 and 20 point races, the trainers do not care to push their horses into those races. So I think they thought, just give him an allowance. We'll see where he's at, and then we'll run him in a 50 and 100 and call it a day. So no, because of that. If it was a little bit different circumstances, I would say yes.
No, I'm with you. I don't think there's a lot of rush, because all it takes is to finish second, really, in one of those 50-point races.
Yep.
And it gets you the same points that you're getting in this race, so you might as well just not push it. The Holy Bull. So you might as well just not push it. And, obviously 2 horses that are very lightly raced. Shesterkin barely got a race in his 2-year-old year, literally the last day of the year. So very lightly raced horses. We'll see what they do, but this is a race to watch. No doubt about it, and see what they do moving forward and where they might end up. Lots could be said about this race, probably more so than I think in the Holy Bull. Would you say, by the way, would you probably agree with that? Like, do you think if say one of those horses runs really well, Holy Bull, whatever happens, you might be more excited about these horses versus what you see in the Holy Bull?
I think it's a possibility. I wouldn't go far as say I think it's 100% a possibility, but I do think it's a possibility for sure. Cyclone Mischief gallops out and wins by a couple, then he's probably going to be a little bit more impressive than that allowance horse, and he should be. He's further along, but there's also a situation where that Holy Bull is kind of a mosh, and then it's like, well, if somebody was impressive here, then yeah, they're gonna be more the one we're talking about after the race is or after the card's over.
Right. Yeah, we'll find out on Saturday. The last race we're going to talk about at Gulfstream Park, race 10, the Ford Gal Stakes, grade 3, 125K, Phillies 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. Kind of a weird one because it is a Kentucky Oaks prep race, even though it's going 7 furlongs, 28,642 for your top 5 finishers. And, you know, a little bit of a competitive race. Field 10 lined up here. To me, I was really between the 3 Atomically and the 8 Red Carpet Ready. Those are my 2 that I was most interested in. You know, Atomically was a horse that, you know, was running well last year, went to the Breeders' Cup, kind of switched trainers to Todd Pletcher, didn't run great, didn't run terrible. Now he's kind of got a little more time with her. Do you think she's the one to beat here for Pletcher?
Boy, this is a weird one. Yeah, I put the 3 on top, but I did really kind of debate this one for a while. Yeah, gosh, I went Atomically on top. I like Red Carpet Ready a lot as well. So I think you knocked out the 2 horses. I thought about putting the number 2 Twice as Sweet on top for a little bit as well. Kind of has some good races and some bad races, a little inconsistent, but her best might be good enough here as well. So there was a lot of different ways you could go. End of the day, I did go Atomically on top. I think cutting back to the 7 furlong distance is going to be right up her alley. I think she'll run pretty well in the spot.
Yeah, man, this is maybe I would say like moving forward, I maybe would be more interested in the 3, but maybe not for this race. This horse likes Gulfstream Park, loves Gulfstream Park. Three starts, 2 wins. Is 1 for 1 for the distance. Did win by 7 at this track, but they've tended to try to run this horse. Obviously, ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. It was like 6-1 that day, so it wasn't like it was like a huge long shot, but didn't run great in a race that wasn't great in itself. And then you get the 8 Red Carpet Ready. I just kind of think that, you know, going this long, going 7 furlongs, not really a stretch it out, you know, for a horse like for Red Carpet Ready, who's been running at 6 and 6.5, has really dusted them both times out. Both of them are at Churchill Downs, hasn't ran at Gulfstream Park, but you got to think the speed at Gulfstream might be dangerous for this horse. Saez gets them out. I thought that was a nice little bonus here as well. I expect this horse to try to take them gate to wire, especially at that price. I hope we get somewhere in that ballpark at 4-1. So I'm going to take number 8, Red Carpet Ready. That is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I would be super excited about anyone in that race other than the 3 moving forward.
It's a mixed bag. You know, that 3 had a lot of hype coming in the Breeders' Cup, kind of like you mentioned, but didn't really do much in that race. Of course, none of those horses ran that well that day.
Except for one. Let's go to Oaklawn Park, race 9, the Bay Coast Stakes, grade 3, with 250K for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, going 1/1/16 miles. Field of 7 lines up here, and it's you know, gosh, this was a tricky one because you kind of is Lovely Ride. Can Lovely Ride do it again on the front end at 3-1? You get the favorite Amo Ray for Brad Cox, who's shipping in that horse from Fairgrounds at 5-2. Ice Orchid, who just can't seem to quite get it done. At 4-1, 7-2 on your favorite horse that you love to pick, La Vida. Where are you going in this race?
I can't quit Ice Orchid. That's the horse I played last time out to try to beat Lovely Ride and didn't do it. But I'm going to go Ice Orchid one more time. Thought she ran great last time out. Just needed to run just a little bit better this time. And I need her stablemate, the 5, to pressure the 7 like I think she was supposed to last time. She didn't do it. I think she'll pressure. I think they'll put a little bit of pressure on Lovely Ride. I think Ice Orchid is going to be tough to hold off. So I'm going to go number 3, Ice Orchid.
Yeah, last time out in the Pippin, you and I both tried to beat Lovely Ride with Ice Orchid, and here we are again. We're going to both do it again. So I'm with you. I that horse ran too good to lose last time out, Ice Orchid, and I just. Hopefully with a little bit more pressure. You go watch that Pittman, just no one pressured Lovely Ride. Let's be fair. If that horse gets that trip again, it's over. It's going to be a very similar situation that we saw that day. But yeah, like get the 5 out there. like go out there and just pressure the 7 Lovely Ride. And so um I don't love the one, especially at 5-2. I get it's Brad Cox, super dangerous, definitely could win, but I don't. That race like just wasn't even supposed to be on the dirt, and that horse they've been running the horse on the turf after the horse wasn't running great on the dirt. I don't know. I don't love this horse here.
Me neither. I don't like at 5-2 at all. Could win for sure. I'll probably try to go against. I'll probably try to beat her with some of these other ones. Maybe a dumb decision, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm with you on that one.
All right, we are both on the 3 Ice Orchid. All right, let's go to Santa Anita. Now, all these races, all these tracks, just say Gulfstream Park, Santa Anita, even Tampa Bay's got a couple, like have multiple stakes. We're kind of picking a few here and there because there's so many. So make sure you go to racenews.com, get all our free and premium picks for the entire cards. But race 10 at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, the Thunder Road Stakes. It's a grade 3 worth 100K for 4-year-olds and up, going 1 mile on the turf. And dude, I looked at this race for a hot minute. Field of 11 with the 11 scratching out. So field of 11, and it's all over the place. I mean, John had a hell of a job, and I see the morning lines are out now. Had a hell of a job coming up with these morning lines, I'm sure. Air Force Red is your 3-1 tepid favorite, but I mean, take it. Just really, it's just a grab bag. I mean, other than a few in here that are just massive prices, you take your pick, and you can't really be wrong. I mean, I feel like you there's a case to make about all of them.
It's going to be tough. I ended up picking the number 1 Earl's Rock on top in this spot. I like the 5-1 price. I like the connections, Diamato and Pratt. Ran off of a layoff 2 races back, going this distance. Got third, only being a length and a quarter. Thought it was a pretty good race. Last time out, wins by a head. Now we're third off the layoff. Now we're moving up in company. Trainer knows what he's doing. I already mentioned Diamato. I think this is a pretty good shot for this horse. Like I said, I like that price as well. I went number 1, Earl's Rock. Gosh, I didn't really want to play Air Force Red on top, so I didn't go that way. I mean, am I crazy for thinking the 12 Cavo Spirit is a horse that's got a shot kind of cutting back in distance? Almost put that horse on top as well.
Well, you're not crazy because that is my top pick. So.
There we go. All right.
Or we're both crazy. I don't know. But the 12 Cabo Spirit is my top play. I mean, I like the fact that this horse is cutting back, like you mentioned, at this distance, 3 starts, 2 wins. At Santa Anita, love Santa Anita. 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, always runs well. They've been putting this horse in really tough races. The Hollywood Derby, grade 1, finished 5th, beaten 2.5, but tough race, obviously. Won the Twilight Derby at grade 2, is multiple graded stakes winner. Just they run them in tough races, and getting that cutback, had some time off a little. I think this horse will be tough here. It always runs well. I think that the issue is the 12 post going to be too much to overcome, and a horse that likes to kind of come off of it a little bit, and there is plenty of speed in this race, I think sets up nicely. The horse is working out great. I feel like he's got the horse kind of running the best that he's ran in a long time. So to me, Cabo Spirit is going to give you an effort, and I just really hope we get anywhere in the ballpark of 6-1 because I think this horse is certainly live. A horse that I almost picked on top. Did you consider the 10 Dark Shift?
Yeah, I looked at this horse for quite a while, actually. I think this one makes logical sense. Second start in the United States, getting a jockey upgrade. It kind of does have the signs of, this horse could run pretty well. Look, the horse was just horrible out of the gate last time out. Got to get better out of the gate.
Yeah.
It was an allowance race at Keeneland. Now we're at a grade 3 here. Like I said, that jockey upgrade is going to make a difference. I think the horse will definitely run better. Did not end up doing it, obviously, but one I considered, yeah.
Yeah, ran really well overseas at a mile at Ascot. I think this horse definitely could win here, could definitely rebound. And then another one I liked a lot was There Goes Harvard, another 8-1 shot. So I think it's one of those races that, is got plenty of options, like, the odds suggest. But you and I look like we're rounding out the field here. You got the 1 on the inside, and I've got the 12 Cabo Spirit on the outside. All right, let's go to the last race we're going to talk about on Rapid Fire. Let's go to Tampa Bay for race 9. The Tampa Bay Stakes Grade 3 was $175K for 4-year-olds and up, going 1/16 miles on the turf. Field of 12 lines up here, Halterman, and 3-1 on Chez Pierre is your favorite. And it's funny, we were talking about this race before we got on air, and we both said I almost, like, we were talking about how hard this race was to handicap. You said I almost put a 30-1 on top, and I said me too, and we had different horses. So it's that kind of race when you try to handicap this race. So first, give me your top pick, who you like, but then let's also talk about these 30-1s that we thought about using as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I like the number 4 Win From Within, and so that's who I put on top here. This horse is going to go out to the front. You know that. Got a nice inside draw here. Speed usually plays well on this turf course. You got a really good trainer, especially at Tampa Bay. I like Win From Within, so I put him on top. Also gets a little bit of a cutback. Doesn't have to quite go 1 1/8 like last time. Cutting back to that mile and a 16th distance. I'll give him a shot.
Yes, it is Emmanuel. It's the Emmanuel, not a different Emmanuel. It's the Emmanuel. We haven't seen this horse in Saratoga Derby last August. Yeah, that's right. Jared's boy. This is my guy. Not my guy today, though. I don't. Got a 14 buyer in that effort that day. Obviously needed some time off. Had a tough campaign trying to get him to the Derby, didn't quite work out. Then kind of bounced right from that into the Pine Ridge, ran well. And then I don't think anybody thought that horse, that was a lot to ask to have him run in that Saratoga Derby that day. Especially all things considered. So needed the time off. He certainly could run well. Love the guy, but I can't pick him here. To me, this is one of those races where I was like, I'm either playing the favorite or I'm taking like just this huge swing. And ultimately, it kind of last second changed my pick to the 10 Chez Pierre. I just looked at these, for one, the horse has never lost in 5 starts, 3 overseas, and they came over here and just immediately started winning on the turf. One kind of on debut, then won a stakes race at Laurel by 5.5. It's just been, just plain and simple, has been better than everybody else it's faced. And this horse is just, you're not seeing a lot of 100 buyers in this race, with 96 buyers, which is what the horse has got in the last 2 starts. Just think he's on a different level than the rest of these. And I don't necessarily believe this is like a world-class horse, but I do think he's better than what's in this race. So I kind of overthought it, and then I brought it back. I was like, you know what? I think the 10's just better than the rest of them. So I'm going to pick the 10 Chez Pierre. But let's swap 30-1s here. Who were you thinking about?
I thought about Dakota Gold.
Let's play a game. Who's 30-1 is worse? All right.
Yeah, okay, that'd be fun. I thought about Dakota Gold. I think the pace is going to set up. I think getting back on the turf obviously going to help. Pretty darn good connections. I thought about Dakota Gold. I think that horse is going to run better than 30-1. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I thought about the 1 Barberini. Last time out, ran on the synthetic at Gulfstream Park, going 1 mile and 5/8. Got 3rd. Value Engineering beat this horse. But you look at the races prior to that, won 4 of the last 5 races, and allowance races, of course, whether it be at Tampa, whether it had been at Pimlico, whether it been at Laurel, but is running quite well. Yes, the horse will need to step up, but this horse kind of, I think, shows the type of the kind of situation or the kind of running style that you're going to need to win this race. And likes Tampa, 2 wins and 4 starts. This distance, 2 wins and 3 starts. It's a step up, but I do think the horse will outrun the 30-1 odds. So which one, we'll let him kind of filter in. Which one is the worst 30 to 1. Hey, they're 30 to 1 for a reason, right?
Yeah, I think both of them are the same in that run up. You'd hope they just kind of run up and pass horses. So
Yeah, you're and I think you're using them, whether it be a tournament or you're using them like, you know, for, do it like a part wheel for 10 over, 111, or something like that. Like they probably can't win, but maybe they could make some noise underneath. But all right, for the top picks, I got number 10, Ches Pierre, and you've got the 4, Win From Within. Yeah, I go. Dennis likes Win From Within, but yeah, both the picks are pretty bad. It's just a bad race. It's not. It's kind of that's what I feel like. If you're playing against the favorite, you might as well take a swing.
might as well. I mean,
It seems like a tough one to kind of get to.
it's Tampa on the turf. I wouldn't be shocked if anything happens.
It's Tampa on the turf. That's a good thought. All right, that's all the time we have. Check us out at racingnews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing News Premium button at the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Remember, we are your destination site for all free horse racing picks to all the major horse racing tracks. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook. You can check out all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the places you listen to podcasts. We are there. Of course, go to our YouTube channel to search Racing Dudes on YouTube or YouTube/Racing Dudes and access our YouTube page and get all the content there for free. We do, Blinkers Off. We're live right now. If you're watching us, thank you so much. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell. And if you aren't, what are you waiting for? Go to YouTube right now and go subscribe. Also, you can subscribe to the Magic Mike Show, who is on in 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
They'll be doing the Gulfstream Park Saturday late pick 5 preview. So you want more? We talked about a little bit about the Ford Gal and the Holy Bull, but if you want more analysis there of that pick 5, of course, I think that allowance race is in that as well. You're going to want to get stay tuned and listen to the Magic Mike to see their analysis of the late pick 5 at Gulfstream Park. All right, Halterman, my boys are in the Super Bowl again. The Chiefs did it.
They did it. Yes.
It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a Chiefs fan. That's all I got to say.
They did it with defense, and that was the big thing. And that's good to see for when they need to do it again, because they did it with defense, and that was huge.
No, Shoddy, the little dude's not here right now. There's no way it would have been this quiet if, as you guys can attest to, if he was here. He's duct taped in the other room, actually. No, not here. But yeah, you're right. Defense. It was crazy. It was. I knew that. That's right, Davey.
There you go.
Goes to the kingdom. That's right. I thought we had it lost. Midway through the third quarter, I text you. I was like, "We're not winning this game." I just two things. One, we were playing too well and not getting points, and it's always a concern when you're not picking up the points. And two, it was just like the momentum was shifting. All our guys kept getting hurt. We were playing with Marcus Kemp out there as our wide receiver. I mean, it just had the feeling of one of those losses. And honestly, when Burrow had the ball with like 6 minutes left, and then again, there's like 2 minutes left, you're like, I thought even at the 6 minute left, after the Mahomes fumble, which was just insane, like truly insane. I was like, I text you then too. I said, we're not getting the ball back. Yeah. This game is over. They're going to, and they did. And step up, the defense stepped up, played huge. Mahomes did enough in the end of that game to get us in field goal range. Of course, the penalty helped as well, which, by the way, I'm so tired of hearing about the penalty situation. I get it, but that was a right call. That was the right call. They've called that 100 times out of 100 all year long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but I also believe that I feel like the guy's taking too much blame for it. Because I do think the Chiefs, they would have been what would have been before that play. It would have been like a 60-yard,
Mm-hmm.
which he can make, but that would have been more unlikely. But I also think we had 8 seconds left. We would have gotten 7 to 10 more yards.
Mm-hmm.
So then it becomes a 53-yarder or something like that. And I think he's just as likely to hit that as he is the 45-yarder. So I don't believe that it made the difference in the game. That penalty.
No, absolutely not. They had 2 chances to go win the game. They couldn't do it. That's where the game was won and lost. You can talk about penalties and this and that, and they got some bad calls, but that was not one of them. That was a clear roughing or late hit out of bounds. Absolutely. They did get some bad ones, but again, all of it aside, you got the ball with a chance to go win twice, and you can't even get across the 50. That's on you.
Well, that's it. Like there were some calls. Like I agree, the officiating and like the whole like 3rd and 11 thing, and they replayed the down. Like that was a joke. And it thankfully like they literally punted from the same. Like nothing changed other than some time that went off the clock. But it still was atrocious officiating. But past that, yeah, like especially that last possession, like I gave us like a 5% chance of winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
Of even going to overtime.
Yeah.
Because when he has the ball, you're like, they're going to drive down, kick a field goal, and this game's over. And there's going to be another 3-point loss to the Bengals.
The Chiefs kind of did what they've been doing the last 2 years. Dominate, but leave a team in the game. When it was 13-6 at the half, I didn't think there was any way the Chiefs were going to win because that's what they do. It should have been like 27-10 or 3 or 6 even. Like they totally killed them, but it's a 7-point game. I'm like, they're beat. Cincinnati didn't take it from them. The Chiefs gave it. Here, it's like here it is. They didn't take it. So, and a lot of it was the Chiefs defense was great in the game. So that's part of it for sure. But again, the Chiefs gave them chances. They didn't take it. So it's on them. Solely on Cincinnati. It's not just on the guy who got the penalty. It's on everybody. That whole offense had their shots and didn't get it done.
It's just
the bottom line of it.
Yeah, exactly. They had their chance. And I mean, I do want to, but I won't gush over my boy Mahomes. But it's just like this guy is just, what he did in that game. He had a normal stat line, like over 300 yards, 2 TDs, over 100 passer rating on one leg, and was throwing to guys like you. Literally, Marcus Kemp, they just got off the practice squad. Literally. He just came off of it. And we were without our top 3 wide receivers, minus Kelsey, of course. MVS stepped up huge. But it's just like he was out there throwing to Pacheco, which everyone, they didn't throw to him a lot. They just made it work. Whereas Burrow had everybody. I think Boyd kind of was in and out there at the end. But, it was just in Mahomes' 5 seasons as a starter, he's been the MVP of the league. He's going to be it twice. Attended 5 AFC championship games at home. Has been to 3 Super Bowls. Has won 1 so far and another MVP Super Bowl. It's just insane. Like it's just not. You can't compare him even to Brady at this point. And I get long term, like bigger picture. Yes, Brady. I mean, he's got, but from the start, like it's just insane what's happening.
He had no players. They can't run the ball. He's the whole offense. Like Chiefs fans get mad when they lose and they blame him, and it's like that's all they have. That's their offense. They don't run. They couldn't run in that game. They really needed to run the ball. They couldn't. They had no receivers. So you just triple Kelsey all of a sudden because you literally are covering nobody out there, and they still win. And the score, the touchdown to make it 20-13. It's ridiculous because nobody can make that throw. He's the only one that could do that. If they don't score there, they lose. Now he did make a mistake that I couldn't even believe he did that. He fumbled that ball, but past that, I mean, he was unbelievable.
It was wild. Like he was gonna go down and steal that game, and then that happened. It just felt like
and that's to my point that I made a little bit earlier. The Chiefs, even late in the game where it looked like this game's over, they're going to win by 2 scores, they kept giving them opportunities, and they still couldn't win. So it's all on the Bengals. I mean, the ref thing, I bet the Bengals. Like, it's all on the Bengals. They blew that game.
Chris Jones had a game of his life. And
Yeah.
like, by the way, Dennis, doesn't sound like today they said Andy said doesn't think that Mecole Hardman will play in the Super Bowl. Sounds like he's not going to make it back, but I think both Juju and Tony will play. I think everyone else will be playing in the game. They got hurt in that game versus I think Hardman will be the only one likely out. But yeah, I mean, it's just I think they had their chance, and Chris Jones game of like if we've learned anything, it's to shut your damn mouth and play the game. Like those guys, it may have not made the difference, but it certainly did not help. Those guys, Mahomes said after the game, he's like, I've never seen our locker room more fired up for a game ever.
Yep.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to make that team more fired up than they already are. And
you don't want to make any team piss when you're playing at home. You don't want to go into another team's building and make them mad before you ever start.
And Chris Jones played like a guy that someone had been shitting on all week, and they were. And he played like that guy, and he disrupted the game from start to finish.
He was the MVP of the game.
Yep.
Without any doubt. He was the MVP of the game because they got Burrow out of any kind of rhythm or any kind of, all night he was looking over his shoulder. Sometimes he would throw balls and there wouldn't be the pressure and he wouldn't be there, but he's waiting for it. He's looking for it, That was the key. Chris Jones was the MVP of the game. There's no doubt.
We'll give picks obviously next week, but where are you leaning right now? Chiefs Eagles. It's pretty much a pick 'em at this point.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. I have the Chiefs right now. I just think they'll find a way to get it done. I like the +2.5 better than the +1.5, but that is, you live with it. That is what it is. Could go back. You'll never know. We got some time here, but I like the Chiefs. I think they're going to beat them. The key to this week is going to be the Eagles front. Can they run the ball on the Chiefs? The Chiefs have had trouble stopping the run in the past. It's a different kind of offensive attack. That'll be the key. Can they stop the run or not? If the Chiefs stop the run, they're going to win. If not, it's going to be a back and forth game. Mahomes is going to have to make a lot of plays.
Yeah, I've got the Chiefs. Not a big shocker there, but they kind of feel like a team of destiny a little bit this year. And I think it's weird to say as a 1 seed, but it just feels like everyone kind of from this beginning of the season doubted them. They weren't going to win the division. They were going to be worse without Hill. They weren't going to make the playoffs. It's a rebuilding year, trying to figure out who they are now. And it's just like, no, we're actually back to Super Bowl again. So it kind of feels like even though they are the 1 seed, everyone's doubted them all year long. And I think if they can slow down the run for the Eagles, that's a big if.
Yeah.
I think they can put enough pressure on Hurts and make him make some decisions that he doesn't want to make.
Yep.
Because that's not a strong point. Although he is showing that he's a very good passer, but if they can get him out of sync, because the Chiefs defense is playing very well. Yep. They had 3 rookies back there playing in the secondary that game. And they played well. They played really well. So if they
were around those receivers even when he had time to throw. Those guys made some great plays, receiver wise back there. But yeah, they played really, really well. And if they can kind of do that again, they're going to win. But different challenge. We'll see.
All right, yeah, we'll talk more about the Super Bowl and obviously Dudes Bet Daily Dudes Bet Sports, the podcast with Halterman and Papa Dude. They'll talk obviously a lot more about the Super Bowl and prop bets and all that good stuff next week as we get closer to the Super Bowl. But it's time for us to get out of here because the Magic Mike Show is gearing up. Final thoughts? Anything about this weekend you want to talk about? Or are you good?
Good to go. Yeah, everybody have a good weekend. Hopefully you guys enjoy the preps. Got another great card at Gulfstream, so hopefully we can do a little bit better this weekend.
My dog over here. You hear that?
I do. I didn't know.
Milk. I don't have my little one, but I have my little dog. So she over here can't breathe. Anyways, good luck everybody this weekend at Gulfstream Park. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Remember, stay tuned for the Magic Mike Show. Good luck this weekend.